review it later. So there's several things that you can do after submitting a bid as far as follow-up or you know, how do we just wait until we find out if it's been awarded, or do we wait to be contacted? Part of that process starts while you're actually putting the bid together to submit. When you're working on a solicitation, let me pull something up in f.b.o. real quick. Let's look at this one. So usually inside the solicitation, inside the synopsis right here, or inside the documentation for the bid, it's going to tell us several things about what we can do after the bid is submitted. One of them is going to tell us how long they anticipate them to place the award. So a lot of times they'll specify that they, like here they're saying that successful offers will be awarded the entire contract, so they're not going to award this to more than one vendor. They want one vendor, and it's going to be a base option with 4 years, so it's going to be a 5-year contract. Blah, blah, blah. First delivery order is due 150 days after the date of the award. Lowest price is the most important factor here. Okay, so what we're looking for is several things. We want to know when they're going to archive it. That's important because we know when it's going to be archived, then we'll know when it's going to be awarded before it's archived, obviously. And a lot of times they'll specify in here how they're going to evaluate the bid, what methods, like they're doing here, that they're going to use to evaluate it and to choose a vendor. They'll specify how many days you have after the award to deliver, when it's going to be archived, and when you want to do a, if you don't win it, you can do a bid. Where's my brain at today? You can do a debriefing. When you don't win a contract, you can request a debriefing, and the purchasing agent has to tell you why they did not choose you and why they chose who they did. So you can learn from each bid. You don't want to just lose a bid and not know why. You want to know why so you don't make the same mistake again. A lot of times in this synopsis or within the documentation that's attached, they'll tell you the debriefing window. They give you a certain time frame between this date and that date that you can request a debriefing. Don't request a debriefing before, because they're not going to give you one because they specified what date, and you can't request a debriefing after the end of the debriefing period. They're just not going to give it to you. So you want to make sure that when you're putting the bid together, you determine that debriefing date and that window, and make sure you keep that on your calendar if you don't win it, so you can request a debriefing. Let me find one that actually has something like that. Okay, so here's the solicitation. Here's the documentation. I'm going to click on it and download it. Wait for it to open. Nice. This is much faster than my old computer. This is awesome. Okay, so instead of reading this entire document, it's not a big document, 3 or 4 pages, I can do a Control F and search for debriefing. So there's nothing in here under the debriefing. Is there any instructions in here? No instructions to offerer. And is there a statement of work in here? No. So this document doesn't really tell us much. There's no statement of work. There's no instructions to offer. There's no debriefing. Let's try the word archive. Okay, the archive date is 90 days after the response date. So we know it'll be awarded between the response date and the archive date. So we're going to go get the second document where you print to download and open. Okay, this is where we're gonna get most of our information, and this is a big document. I can tell by how small my cursor is over here. page 1 of 73. So we don't want to read 73 pages, obviously. We want to get to the point real quick. So we're going to do the Control F. So there's the performance work statement is on B2. That tells us what it is they want to buy. It's the standard 52.212-1 instructions to offer, so we know they want us to include a cover page, a signature page, an index page, copy of the ref's inserts, the standard form, which is the one we're looking at right here. That's the standard form. A technical proposal, and possibly a past performance proposal or past performance page. Debriefing. If a post-award debriefing is given to request out, the government shall disclose the following information. So this is what they're going to disclose on the debriefing. The valuation, whether it was weak or deficient of factors, the overall cost, overall ranking of all offers, a summary of the rationale for who they awarded it to, make and model of the item delivered by the successful offerer, reasonable responses, relevant questions. And so if you have questions on the debriefing, they're going to give you that as well. Doesn't look like there's a debriefing window on this one, so they're not giving us a certain time frame we have to ask those questions or to get that debriefing. So this is all stuff that you would work on while you're putting the solicitation together before you submit the bid. Now, when you submit the bid, part of your question was, how do you make sure that the government gets your bid? That's a great question. I've covered that in an article on my LinkedIn page. If you go to my articles and you pull up the one that's called, it says spam on it. It's actually got a can of spam in the picture right here. Because sometimes you submit a bid and the government doesn't get it, and you don't know this, and you find out later after you request the debriefing that they never got your email with the bid on it. And that's the reason why you didn't win it, because they never got it. How do you prevent that from happening? It's not 100% preventable, but with the things I suggest in this article, it's about 99.9% preventable. First of all, it's not their business to tell you why you didn't get it. So if they didn't get your email, don't ask them why. It's not their fault. It's not their problem, and they don't care anyway. So that's not part of the debriefing. You need to make sure that they get your email. So first of all, you can call a purchasing agent after you've sent the email and ask them if they've received it. I don't recommend this because it's doubling your call work. It is intrusive. Purchasing agents some of them don't like to be called. If you call them too many times, they may see you as a pain or think that if they award it to you, you're going to call them all the time. So they don't want to award it to you because you're going to be calling them all the time, etc. And some purchasing agents don't give you their phone number, so you can't contact them. You can pre-mail. You can mail an email with nothing in it, just the solicitation number, just like this. Subject line, the purchasing agent's name regarding the solicitation number, if it's a small business set-aside or whatever it is, and name of it, and you can put proposal email with attachments to follow. So you're pre-warning them that you're going to send an email with attachments in case they don't get, they might reply and say, hey, I never got your email with the attachments. This was an idea somebody gave me a while ago, and I guess it's a good idea, but again, it's more work. It's doubling your work. Clean up your email. Don't have stuff in your email that could get it blocked. I cover this a lot, often, frequently, because this happens a lot, and I'll show you a prime example. I would not send this email to a purchasing agent with all these links on it. Every one of these links could look to their server as a virus. It could get it blocked. So if you're going to email a purchasing agent, give them your name and your phone number. You don't need to give them your email. They're going to get your email. When they receive the email, it'll say who it's from. And if you add your email, it could turn into a hot link. And just this email alone could get your email blocked by a purchasing agent's firewall. So because you put your email in here, they didn't get your your email, they don't get your bid. Don't have your website. It does the same thing when you put your website in here. Turns into a hot link. That can get it blocked. Don't have pictures of your kids or links to the Better Business Bureau or the or anything. Don't even put your own website on here. Don't put anything on here that's going to get it that could possibly get your email blocked. I had a client, she had the link to the Better Business Bureau showing they were A+ rated, which the Better Business Bureau is the biggest scam there is. The government doesn't care if you're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. They don't look at the Better Business Bureau to determine if they're going to hire you. Matter of fact, they can't. So don't have it on there. Don't put anything on there that's going to get you blocked. And there's my example right there of how I would send an email just like that. You can put in the email, in the body of the email, please reply received to this email so we know that you've received it. Thanks. And some purchasing agents, when they get your email, they'll reply received and you know they got it. Not all of them will though. So you might assume that they didn't get it because they didn't reply, and now you're emailing them again and calling them back to make sure they got it, and you're being, you know, you're kind of being a pain, you're being a thorn in their side. Best thing to do, purchasing agents can and do allow you to add on an email when you send it. You can do like this. You can go to the follow-up options and you can request a delivery receipt and a read receipt. That you can do, and purchasing agents will accept that. That's not intrusive. They don't mind that. If you send something out FedEx or UPS or something like that, sometimes they'll ask you to physically send a copy of the solicitation. Don't make them sign for it. Don't make it signature required, because some purchasing agents will not sign for stuff. And you spent 2 days or 2 weeks putting that solicitation together, and $23 worth of 3-ring binders and paper and everything else, and then, you know, $19 worth of FedEx and an extra $5 for a signature required, and they won't sign it. So you just hung yourself. You can do a delivery notification where UPS notifies you that it's been delivered, but don't require them to actually sign for it, okay? So you submitted the bid. You got a read receipt or something, so you know they got it. What's next? Some bids can take weeks or even months before they actually award it. So at that point, really all you can do is hurry up and wait. Hurry up and be patient. If you've got the opportunities on your watch list right here, if you click watch this opportunity, you should be notified by the purchasing agent when it's awarded. Even if it's not awarded to you, if it's on your watch list, they should notify you. They're supposed to anyway. They don't always do, but most of them do. And most of them are going to notify you. If you win the contract, they're going to notify everybody else who bid before they notify you that you've won it. And the reason why they do that, excuse me, it's because they want everybody else to stop calling them and emailing them about the contract. So, of course, as soon as they award it, they're going to tell everybody who didn't win it that it's been awarded, so everybody else leaves them alone. And then once they get everything processed and they get ready to notify you, then they'll notify you that it's been awarded. So if you ever bid on a contract and out of the blue you get phone calls and emails from several people that were on the interested vendors list asking if they could do work for you as a subcontractor, it's because you've been awarded the contract and don't know it yet, and they know it because they've been notified. So if that happens, you get a couple of phone calls and emails, call me or email me real quick and we'll look into it, because I can always send an email to the purchasing agent and ask for a debriefing or ask them when they anticipate the award without you looking like, you know, you guys be the good cops, I'll be the bad cop. I'd put it to you that way. And I can actually give you a perfect example of that. D&H Dental. Well, I don't have to pull the ammo up. I've got a client who, him and I worked on a very large bid and submitted it over 2 months ago, and they still haven't chosen a vendor yet. So he asked me one day, he says, you know, when are we going to know? She said, should I email him or call him and ask? No, let me do it. So I emailed the purchasing agent, asked him if they anticipated a date. He said sometime late November. I did the same thing on a solicitation yesterday, and the purchasing agent responded to me that she was not going to tell me when they anticipated it because I did not bid on it. And I replied to her that I helped my client put the bid together. I'm his proposal writer, so I didn't physically submit the bid myself, but I'm the one that put the bid together. Would you please tell me when the anticipated date? And then she told me. So long story short, to answer your question, hurry up and wait. It's all you can do. You don't want to call and email them and be a thorn in their side, because that might be one of the reasons why they don't, even though they're not going to say that, because they're not supposed to, you know, not award stuff to you because you've called them or emailed them. But let's face it, in society alone, you know, how they perceive things is half the battle. If they perceive you as a pain and you're going to be a pain if they award it, they'll find a way to justify not awarding it to you. Any questions on that?
Well, just one, John, when we submitted it, we had to go right into the quote and fill out their or quote list there, and then there was a submit. There was no place to put read receipt or request receipt delivery.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're submitting it through FedConnect or FedBid or ASFI or NAVFAC or any of the military systems, a lot of times they don't give you an option to do a read receipt or a delivery receipt. Fortunately, when you submit a bid through those systems, that's pretty secure. You're pretty much guaranteed they've received it. It's not like you're sending an email and you don't know if they got it or not. If you hit it submit on that site and it says submitted or done or complete, you did it right.
Okay, okay, thank you.
And if it's FedConnect or FedBid, those systems usually tell you immediately when you submit your bid whether it's accepted or not, because those are like a reverse eBay. When you submit your bid, if your bid's the lowest, they'll say that your bid is accepted. If they say your bid's been denied, that means someone else has already bid lower than you. And you want to keep an eye on those systems, because if you submit a bid that's accepted and somebody comes in the next day and they underbid you, your bid's no longer accepted. You have to go back in and either sharpen your pencil and rebid with a lower price, or you're not going to win it. I had a client, she had one on Thursday and it said it was accepted, and she's like, awesome, I'm going to win this one. And she wasn't at work Friday, and she came back in on Monday. It was awarded Friday, and she lost it over, like, I think it was like $2 less than what she bidded. She lost it. And she said she could have dropped $20 off of it and still made a good profit on it. But she didn't keep track of it. She was, you know, didn't keep track of her email while she was out of town Friday. Any other questions in that arena? Does anybody else have a bid or solicitation they want to work on, or a question about a bid or solicitation? Anyone? Bueller? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep, we hear you
Okay.
fine.
Okay. So if nobody else has a question about a bid or solicitation, or a bid or solicitation they want to work on, we could cover some of John Wayne's jewels if you like.
I got a question.
Okay, shoot.
Is there any way you can find out kind of the general pay scale that a bid's going to go for, the general pay of a service being offered in a certain area?
You know, that's the million-dollar question. I get that question a lot. People say, well, how much should I charge? How do I know if my price is fair? How do I know what they paid last year? Several of the military systems that force you to post your bid through those systems, they'll actually give you a list of those purchases that have been made over the last 6 months or the last 2 years, who they bought that product or service from, and how much they paid for that quantity. So sometimes they'll tell you, literally, this is what we've paid for this in the past. Sometimes they'll tell you there's a cap, there's a limit on how much they'll pay. There's a threshold. Their budget on this is $2 million. So they're not going to pay more. If you come back with a bid of $2,100,000, they're not going to accept it. They said in there the threshold is $2 million, that's it. Sometimes they'll give you a range. They'll say they estimate this contract to be within $3 to $5 million. Sometimes that range is ridiculous, and it says they estimate the contract to be between 5,000 and 50 million, which is stupid. Sometimes